There's an ancient wisdom way for operating in work relationships that will lead to more productivity, fulfillment, and happiness at work that we're going to be covering in this video today. Hi there, welcome to Wednesday's Wisdom for Leadership here at Ancient Wisdom for Modern Business. I'm your host, John English. Such a pleasure to be with you. There's an ancient wisdom process that I found to be very effective in leading others that we refer to as working with perception. So I'm going to explain this so that we will have a way of commonly understanding one another as we go forward. In ancient wisdom, when we discuss perception, we mean so much more than a person's perspective on something, or let's say their political affiliations, or anything like that. It's actually how they assemble their reality. And we refer to this as their view of the world. Now, the interesting thing is that quantum physics has confirmed this, that the effects of the observer actually have an impact on the experiments. So they've confirmed that perception does assemble reality. So let's use a very common example I like to use is in law enforcement. If there is, let's say, a robbery at a convenience store, and there are 4 people who witness this robbery, all 4 of them will, their stories will be varying in describing what their experience. And that's why I'm sure the law enforcement is so thankful for forensic evidence, because they want DNA or forensic evidence that will tie the criminal to the crime. Eyewitnesses are good, but law enforcement officers know that every person who sees this robbery take place is going to assemble it differently. So that's kind of a simple example about perception assembling reality. So let's discuss work relationships, perception, and someone's view of the world. If you think of someone's view of the world, and let's say a person, you look at a circle that is like really big, a really big circle, and then think of another person's view of the world, and they have a really, you draw a really small circle. This is an example of how a person's view of the world would look for someone who has kind of a really open perception. They're kind of open to new ideas. They're open to learning, and to a person that has a really fixated perception. Now, ancient wisdom teaches us, and it also corresponds with scientific research on the brain, that we're born with a very open, wide perception. You know, we're learning all the time and looking around and absorbing everything around us. And you would think that as we grew older, that our perception would remain open and even grow based on what we learned. But exactly the opposite happens. Around the ages of 6 to 8, we kind of lock in how we assemble the world. So, like I said, people who are very open have a very open perception, and people who are very narrow have a narrow one. So let's use an example of motivating someone to do their best at work. And let's talk about 2 different people at work, and one person, and the impact of like financial motivation. So one person, the impact. Let's discuss motivation and one person being impacted by being motivated financially. So the one person who's motivated by financially will assemble financial reward as motivation. That's how they assemble their world. Well, when there's another person, let's say the other person is motivated by learning and by growth and by making a difference, by accomplishment and acknowledgement, and they're not as motivated as much by financial outcome. Well, that person is not going to assemble being motivated financially. So if you try to motivate them financially, it's not going to work. So as a leader, when you learn the view of the world of the different people that you're leading, and you learn to work with their perception, your ability to motivate and inspire those you lead is unique to their personal situation. And when you do this, when you learn to work with perception, your results will skyrocket. Now, in the last video, I mentioned the corporate hero. And what I mean by that is I see a big shift coming for corporate America in a very good way. This generation that is now coming of age, I feel, is going to motivate corporate America to really make some great changes in this world and move more and more into a conscious culture. And so the people who really want to make a difference in this world, really want to make a difference in the people's lives that they lead at work by making work a community where people are engaged, fulfilled, and making a difference, we refer to them as corporate heroes. So go ahead and leave a comment. Let us know one way today that you can work with someone's view of the world that you're working with to help them engage and get more motivated. This is John. Thank you for being here with me on Wednesday's Wisdom for Leadership. Until next time, lead with a commanding presence.